Shalom Aleichem, it's a great zchut to be here. It's a privilege and it's an honor. And I heard this is a Makom Kadosh of many Talmidei Chachamim, so I'm really excited to spend time with Torah scrolls, and hopefully I'll be able to learn a lot from you today. I want to share some thoughts, and today's topic that was selected was the love of Torah. The importance that we have for dedication of Torah, setting specific times to Torah, and sticking to it at all costs. Sharing some thoughts, observations that I had the zchut to see when I was by Maran Reb Chaim Kanievsky, Zatzal, and maybe some Inyan Yoma, some war topics. We'll see. But the first thing I want to ask you. The first thing I want to discuss and really want to ask you. Tough question. There's a guy who works from early morning until late evening. He comes home, he's exhausted. 8 p.m. He takes the Gemara and he goes to the shul. And usually between 1 minute and a half to 2 minutes, I don't think it ever passed more than 2 minutes, he's out. Snoring! Oof. It really bothers the people who are learning the shiur daf yomi. So they wanted to know. He's not getting anything from the shiur, that's clear. Again, between 90 seconds to 120 seconds, he is out. Should they say anything? Should they say, listen, maybe you should go to the early daf yomi, 4 o'clock before you go to work. Maybe you should take a little nap when you come home and then go to the midnight. I don't know, but what are you getting from this? You're getting nothing. What you are doing is bothering us. We're trying to learn, and you're snoring away. So their question is, should they wake him up? Should they kick him out? Should you say, yep, do some better things with your time? Since it's a complicated she'ela in halacha, they told me to come here to Jamaica State to ask the Talmidei Chachamim. Shimuna rabotai dayanim mumchim. What do you say? Not everybody together. I can't hear when you're yelling at me. One by one. Should say, let him be. Let him snore and bother with the shiur. Why doesn't it bother you? You're the Magid shiur. It doesn't bother you? People can't concentrate. This guy is Mesirut Nefesh. The Mesirut Nefesh of the people who are in the shiur to try to overcome.
Snoring and other people speaking in the Bet Midrash.
In the middle of the shiur, normally there's not so much talking. But if there is talking, it's relevant to the shiur. The snoring seemingly is not so relevant to the shiur. Very nice song. It sounds very nice, but not really so relevant to the shiur. What's that?
The fact that it's relevant makes a person paying attention more to the shiur.
Lechora, when you're doing something b'reshut, we can't kick you out. But when you're doing something without a shut, you have a shut to sleep in the Bet HaMikdash and to snore away when we are learning. If you know you're doing this not once, every single night.
So the question is a little bit differently. Not the fact that if he's bothering them or not. The question is if he's allowed to be there or not.
If a person accidentally fell asleep in Bet HaMikdash, I'm not going to wake him up. But when it's bothering the people, the participants in the shiur, maybe we have an inyan to wake him up. Which is different than people who are arguing in halacha, talking about the Gemara that they're learning. Let them argue. Maybe it's bothering us, but they're doing exactly what this place is established to do.
Is there an issue covered in Torah also? People are learning and someone's giving a share.
Snoring away.
What's the problem to wake him up?
It's not again.
Maybe a little embarrassing. Just a little. What are you doing falling asleep every single night? Get out of here. It's just a drop embarrassing. Is he getting anything out of it? What's the inyan to stay here?
He's sure getting something out of it.
What is he getting out of it? A nice, comfortable chair. And at home, it's even more comfortable.
Goes inside or something.
That right, that even if a person is sleeping, there's no Torah, and then this is Shabbat, it gets hard for the whole family, right?
Where do we see a source from that in the Gemara? You don't need a Ben Ishchai. Go a little earlier. Rabbi Shimon Hanania, when he was born, what did his mother do? She put the carriage. Why? Apparently it worked. Maybe that's where the Ben Ishchai got it from. But this...
I guess we took an extreme case where let's say this person was the one who was supporting the whole shul, and if it wasn't for his hard work during the day, the shul's not running.
I don't think we're waking him up. I don't think we're waking up in that case.
Yeah,
But if it's just a regular guy.
regular.
Talk to him privately. Wake him up.
That's my question. Should I? So what are you getting from this? It's a waste of time. 90 seconds you don't last. For what? What's in you?
You're belittling the Torah and his life. Waking up saying you're getting up and you're belittling it.
He's not doing it intentionally, so I'm not sure if he's belittling him.
There's another Nakuda. You mentioned we're here 90 seconds after the share he's falling asleep. If it's going to be after half an hour, he's going to snore, it's going to bother them.
Oh, you got 30 minutes of learning Torah. The first 90 seconds just getting adjusted in the chair, the eyes are closing, he's out. 30 minutes of learning Torah, diamonds.
Am I supposed to wake him up because I'm not gaining or because he's not gaining?
For him.
Huh?
For him. He's also bothering us, but for him, what are you doing? What are you coming here every single night?
Sure, 90 minutes after the share. I'm still losing out because I'm losing out.
So you want to wake him up or not?
I'm asking.
I'm also asking.
We're all in the same boat. I'm just being the shayla a little bit.
Good. Rabbi say, should we wake him up or not?
100%.
Wake him up. Get him out of here.
Does it depend who gives the shoe and who's sleeping?
What's that?
Does it depend who gives the shoe, who's sleeping?
I hope he's not the one giving the shiur. That would be terrible. One of the Rishonim, Rabbi Yechiel of Paris, Baalei HaTosfot, writes something remarkable. Maseret Ketubot, Daf Kuf Yud Aleph, we learn, anyone who has the dew of Torah, Tal Torah mechayehu. When he gets up there, after 120, at least. By the way, why do we say up to 120? Ad 120. Is there a source to that? What about Moshe Rabbeinu? He lived 120, and there weren't people who lived more than 120. What about Eruvin Nun Daled Amud Bet, Reb Freida? I don't know at what age the story happens, but then you get an additional 400 years. So he lives for much more. Menachot Samech Daled Amud Bet, in the Tosfos there, we learned that Mordechai, from Mordechai and Esther coming up, lived for hundreds and hundreds of years. So what if Moshe Rabbeinu lived to 420? So what? Some people lived shorter life, and some people lived longer. Rav, 300 years. There are many people. Is there a source to say Ad 120?
Maybe they go after the pasuk in Bereshit.
Oh, V'ayu Yamav 120 Shana. You heard this? The end of Parshas Bereshit. The pasuk says, V'ayu Yamav, and his days will be 120 Shana. But Ibn Ezra. The Ibn Ezra says on that pasuk, Yesh Omrim. Some say from here is the source that a person can live only 120 years, and they are wrong. Says the Ibn Ezra, that's not the meaning of the pasuk. The pasuk is saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm willing to wait 120 years, not more. I waited so many years before I did the flood, 1656 years, never again. The most I'll wait for people to do tshuva is 120 years, so then we don't have a source for that. Do we have a source? The truth is, there is no source. But maybe there is, because we say it every single morning. Every single morning. Leman yirbu yemeichem. Should have longevity. Yemeichem. Yud mem, yud chaf mem. Gimatria 120. The Navi many times says, Ve'ayu yamav, and his days will be ketzel over, like a passing shadow. Tzel tzadi lamed 120. So there is a remez, but Lemaisa there is no source. And therefore, Reb Moshe Feinstein, Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach objected to this. He says, what do you mean when you wish me 120 years and then what? Drop dead? Is that what you're saying? By the way, what do you wish a person on his 120th birthday? Have a nice day. So Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach used to say ad bli dai, or say lefachot ad 120. At least 120. Why do you want to end it at 120? But anyways, the source from the Ibn Ezra doesn't qualify. So we're back to Rabbi Yechiel of Paris, and he says, when one goes upstairs, if he has the dew of Torah, Tal Torah, it will revive him, and if he doesn't, he has a problem. Says Rabbi Yechiel Paris, not to be believed. Sometimes you start the shiur, you fall asleep, start drooling. That's the Tal Torah, and that's the Tal Torah that mechayehu, that will revive a person. Chas v'shalom, don't wake him up. You want to take away that dew of Torah that he's going to have? Chas v'shalom. Mishnah Bura, similar to the Ben Ish Chai, but we have a source. Simen Kuf Nun Hey in Orach Chaim, Seif Aleph, Seif Katan Vav, says the Mishnah Bura, sitting in the shul, just sitting in the Beit HaMidrash, is a mitzvah. You don't learn. You don't understand what the Talmidei Chachamim is saying around you. That's okay. Being in the environment, and here you feel it. You feel the air of Kedusha here. Both from the Sfarim and both from the Talmidei Chachamim. The living Sfarim. Being in the Beit HaMidrash in itself is a mitzvah. So don't take it away from him. And more than that, what about the message to the kids? They see him coming home exhausted at 8 p.m. They know when he left the house. Early morning. He's exhausted. Abba, where are you going now? What do you mean? I'm going to the shiur. The fact that he's getting something from it or not, the fact that he's falling asleep, his ears are like Yeshua ben Hanani or not, I don't know. But the message to the kids, where are you going? I'm going to learn. How much more so you guys? In the middle of the day, instead of going to work, like normal people, not so sure they're normal, you choose to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I love your Torah. I want to be connected to it. The message to your kids, the message to anyone that knows you, to the wife, the message to yourselves, and better, the message to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We love your Torah, you want to be connected. What greater message? What greater zchut? And where are you doing this? In the place which is saturated with Gashmiyut, the capital of Gashmiyut of the world. You're not living in Mea Shearim or Bnei Brak. And yet you show HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want to be connected to your Torah as much as I can. It's the greatest zchut possible. You know, many times I used to go to Reb Chaim Kanievsky. And when he was learning, the world is over, the world is dead. There's no idea what's going on. I remember specifically once, I came in and his grandson says, go sit next to him. So normally when I sat next to him, I didn't sit across or on the side. I sat right next to him like you guys are sitting, much closer. I'm sitting on top of him. Reb Chaim is learning. And he's learning, and he's learning, and he has no idea that somebody just sat next to him. And I know that he's not ignoring my existence. You'll soon see why. He's with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. So he's learning, and I start coughing. Reb Chaim is with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Start making some noise. I move my chair. Reb Chaim is with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. I do this on the table. Reb Chaim is with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Reb Chaim is learning the letter that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent him. We call it Torah. A holy document that he says, I want you to delve into it. I'm going to tell you all my secrets. I have it on video. It took 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, Baruch Hashem, he had to flip the page. And when he did, so his eyes moved, the drop to the right. Oop, somebody's sitting next to me. So I know he wasn't ignoring my existence. He just had no idea. Why? What do you mean, why? Because I'm sitting and learning with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm talking to Ribono Shel Olam. It's not that you're coming into the kollel. No, because after been there, done that. Check mark. I have to be here. When do we start? 9 o'clock you start here. 9:30. You're coming to spend time with HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. And when you view it like that, it's so much more pleasurable. It's desirable. It's not a job. 9:30, the boss is waiting. Maybe the Rosh Kollel is, what is he going to say if I'm late again? What's the connection to the Rosh Kollel? Kodesh Baruch Hu is listening. Kodesh Baruch Hu is watching. Kodesh Baruch Hu is waiting for you. I once came into Reb Chaim, Erev Pesach. Erev Pesach was a very special day in the Kanievsky's house because for 77 years, he started when he was 17 years old, he did a siyum. He was a bechor. Erev Pesach, instead of fasting, you do a siyum. But I think most people, when they do a siyum, first of all, most people don't do a siyum. They go to the shul and somebody else makes a siyum and they participate, and that's fine, it works. Some people who are smart enough, lucky enough, they do their own siyum. Masechet Ta'anit, maybe Megillah. That's not enough for Reb Chaim. So Reb Chaim will do a siyum on the entire Torah. What does it mean, entire Torah? Shas Bavli and Yerushalmi. Sifra, Sifri, Mechilta, Midrash Rabbah, Zohar, other Midrashim, Rambam, Shulchan Aruch, Mishnah Berurah, and a few more Sfarim we can't discuss. Every single year. 77 years. He started when he was 17, he ended when he was 93. So I'm traveling there with my son. Leila said there was Friday night, and we were traveling there Thursday night. I wanted to ask him something. So I go in with my son. And my son, the whole way, I live in Bet Shemesh, we have an hour to drive to Bnei Brak. He says to me, Abba, ask him how many times he finished the Shas. I said, I'm not going to ask this type of question. I have other questions to ask. No, Abba, ask him. What do you care? Ask him. I said, I'm not going to ask this type of question. What do you care? I said, what do I care? I'll blame the kid. So we go inside. I said, Rebbe, in 12 hours is the big siyum. My son wants to wish the Rav a mazel tov. Shkoyach. But it comes with a question. My son wants to know, I couldn't care less. My son wants to know, how many times did the Rav finish Shas? Reb Chaim told me an answer, couldn't believe it. The only time I ever heard such a thing from him. Ani lo zocher, I don't remember. Reb Chaim Kanievsky doesn't remember something. I don't give up. I said, Rebbe, but at least you finished 101 times, right? Gemara Chagiga Daf Tet Amud Bet says it's a segula to learn 101 times. It's locked in. You can remember. Reb Chaim says to me, Ani lo oseh cheshbonot. Don't do calculations. We went outside. I told my son, when Reb Chaim says something, everything has to be analyzed. It's a big message. Big message he's sending us. What do you think when you go upstairs after at least 120? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, takes your file. Says, what? Only say Masechet Shabbat, what's wrong with you? He's not going to say that. He's going to say, did you look at my Torah? Did you enjoy it? Wasn't it delicious? Did you try and learn, understand, and try to retain the best of your ability? That's all we're going to be asked. Who cares how many times you did it? So for Reb Chaim Kanievsky to make a chart and to write Erev Pesach, Tavshin Nun Aleph, Erev Pesach, Tavshin Nun Gimel, and to add, boop, another siyum. Those 5 seconds to add times 77 years is 3.5 minutes. That's another 2 lines in the Gemara. That's called Bitul Torah when your name is Reb Chaim Kanievsky. So all the prioritizations. Big message. Just about sitting and learning. Enjoying the sweetness, the holiness, the sanctity, the purity of the words of Ribbon Shalom. Twice it happened to me. Eight years ago and about 14 years ago. Twice. He was already very old. I come in, I had an appointment, and I drive from Bet Shemesh, and his grandson sees me, he says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Last few hours, temperature, high fever, I don't think you can see, I'm so sorry." I said, "Okay, what can you do?" Refuah Shleima. And I turn around and start walking. He says, wait a second. I'll tell my grandfather that you're here. So he tells Reb Chaim that I'm there. He says, "Come." Reb Chaim says, "My Saba says he wants to see you." So I come into the room. Reb Chaim is in his bed, covered with a blanket, high fever. A few more seconds before he falls asleep, he says to me, "No, what'd you come to ask?" Dedication, the commitment, the sacrifice for Am Yisrael. So I asked him my question, and as always, spits out the answer. He says, this is what he was dealing with for the last 3 weeks. But unfortunately, the size of my brain is not the size of Reb Chaim's brain, so the answer doesn't sit well with me. So I start arguing with him. And we start playing ping pong of sources. Until finally, Baruch Hashem was able to digest his answer and understand it. This happened twice. Who's the mayor of New York? Will he be willing to see you in his bedroom? I'm not talking about when he's sick, high fever, when he is lying in bed with the covers on. Mayor, New York. The President of the United States, will he see you like that? Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. He sees it like this. Because no matter where we are, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there. And Maran Gittin, Samech Bet says, Man Malchei, who were called kings, Rabbanon. Reb Chaim and every Talmid Chochem is 1,000,000 times at least greater than a mayor, than a governor, than a president, than a prime minister, or any other king. He learns his Torah. He learns the Torah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Melech Malchei Amlochim, is there with us, wherever we are. But how is it possible? But really, how is it possible? You really are sick. You have high fever. What do you mean, how is it possible? Because in Reb Chaim's mind, it's the same HaKadosh Baruch Hu that told you to fast on Yom Kippur. Is there one person who's not going to fast on Yom Kippur? It's the same HaKadosh Baruch Hu that says, Ve'avta l'recha kamoicha. It's the same HaKadosh Baruch Hu that says, I want you to do Kiddush Friday night. Ooh, Kiddush. Who doesn't do Kiddush? It's the same HaKadosh Baruch Hu that speaks through Pirkei Avot, and he says, Ve'mekabel kol ha'adam, how? B'sefer panim yafot, with a smile. Greet him. It kol ha'adam. What's kol ha'adam? I was there so many times. Ignoramuses, amei ha'aratzot, mideoraita u'miderabbanon, with all the hidurim. And Reb Chaim answers them in the same way he answers all the greatest Talmidei Chachamim. The greatest Talmidei Chachamim. Because the same HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what's the difference? This is a mitzvah and this is a mitzvah. But it's hard. You're sick. You don't feel well. You're in bed. So it's a bigger size mitzvah. No, greater reward. If a mitzvah is a diamond, so any woman will tell you, the bigger the diamond, the more valuable it is. So you just have to bend down and pick it up with 2 hands. Gewaldig. I get the bigger mitzvah. Reb Chaim's father already said, how many mitzvot do we have? 613. You counted them? You counted them? I'm sorry? The Rambam counted. He's the only one? The Gemara counted them? Where, in Makot Chav Gimel? How did the Gemara arrive at it, by the way? What's the Masorah? The surprising fact is, it's a Gematria. Gematria of the word Torah is 611, plus 2 more we heard from Hashem himself 2 days ago in the Parashat Yitro. So we have 613. And all those who counted the mitzvot, the Rambam and the Chinuch, the Smag and the Smag, the Yereim and the Charedim, Reb Sadia go, and they all stopped at 613. They just throw in different mitzvot to 613. So we all agree there's 613 mitzvot? The Steipeler said, nope, not true. We used to have 613. You know what do we have today? Today we have 613 problems. 613 bayot. In other words, I have to do it. Shulchan Aruch says, I'm frum, what can I do? I have to do it. Get up in the morning, I gotta go through the pages of Shulchan Aruch or Chaim. But when will I be done so I can go where I really want to go and I can do what I really want to do? It's 613 problems, humps on the road that I have to go over in order to really do what I want to do. That gives me pleasure. 613 mitzvot. And I think maybe the problem is we're using the word mitzvah. What are we calling a mitzvah? Opportunity. Diamonds, even better diamonds. So the bigger the diamond, the greater the rewards. Who wouldn't be happy with a gigantic diamond that they can barely pick up? It's great. The question is, how do we address the mitzvot and how do we look at them? I have a question. If Chas v'Shalom, any Hatzalah members here? No Hatzalah members. Lu Yatsuya, let's say there was a Hatzalah member here. There is a Hatzalah member in town. Good. There's a call. Somebody is right outside, needs serious help, but I'm learning. You're there. Do I have to stop, close my Shulchan Aruch, close my Gemara, and go outside to help him or not? Pashut, everybody agrees? What are you going to do with the Gemara Meforeshet? Megillah Daf Tetzayin, Amud Bet, Gadol Talmud Torah yoter me'atzalat nefashot. Says the Gemara, very, very simple. Learning Torah is more important, more greater than Hatzalat Nefashot. The Gemara also continues and says, Gadol Talmud Torah yoter mikibud av ve'em. There's nothing like it. Every morning we say, Talmud Torah keneged kulam. That includes the guy who dropped dead over there. So why should I close the Gemara? Why should I close the Yoredea? For what? You're telling me my reward is much greater learning Torah. Why should I stop?
To perform.
What's that?
Perform.
To perform what?
The words of God.
אותנו את התורה. כך מצווה אותנו התורה.
That's what the Torah commands us. But that doesn't make sense. If I'm sitting learning, I can choose to do this or that. Why should I stop? There's a Gemara in Brachot, Samech Aleph Amud Bet. You all know the Gemara. The Romans decreed you're not allowed to learn Torah publicly. Rabbi Akiva says, Romans, and he goes to Times Square and he opens up a Bet Midrash in the middle of Times Square. He had Stenderim, Yoredea, Choshed Mishpat. And Papus Ben Yehuda comes over and says, Akiva, iyata mityare? Are you not afraid? Don't you know what the Romans may do to you? What are you doing? And Rabbi Akiva gives this famous mashal, and he says to him, Em sholecha mashal lema hadavar domeh. There was a fox that was walking on the riverbank, and he saw the fish jumping from place to place. They look very nervous. And he asks them, why are you so nervous? And they said, because we're afraid of the fishermen. They come and they try to catch us. So the fox says, so why do you stay in the water? Come here and live on dry land, just like your forefathers used to do with my forefathers. And the fish say to the fox, you are the one that they say, you are the wisest of animals? You're not wise. You're a fool. If in the place of our sustenance in the water we're afraid, how much more so if we go to dry land? We won't be able to exist for more than a few seconds. Says Rabbi Akiva to Papas Ben Yehuda, if when we're learning Torah we're afraid, when we separate from the Torah, which the pasuk says, Kihu, chayecha ve'orech yamecha, yem chayechem. That's our oxygen. How much more so? There's no chiyus, there's no existence without the Torah. Continues the Gemara and says, Lo hayu yamim muatim. Just a few days later, we know what happened to Rabbi Akiva. They caught him, they put him in jail. And a few days later, Papus Ben Yehuda is brought to jail as well. So Rabbi Akiva says to him, I know why I'm here for. What are you doing here? And Papus Ben Yehuda says, Dvarim betelim, vain things. What does that mean, Dvarim betelim? I would think Dvarim betelim means maybe you didn't pay taxes, maybe you crossed the red line, crossed the red light or something. Dvarim betelim, vain things. Comes the Gaon Mevilna and says this Papus Ben Yehuda is the same Papus Ben Yehuda from Ta'anit Daf Yud Chet Amud Bet. Rashi, a long story. Ba'abata Daf Yud, Psachim Daf Nun. There were two brothers in the city of Lud, Papus and Lulianus. And the king over there, his daughter was murdered, and he accused, of course, the Jews. And he said to the Jewish population there, if you don't hand over the murderer, all of you. Papus and Lulianus, two brothers who had nothing to do with this, came over and said, dear king, we are the ones who did it. Sacrifice themselves. They will be executed. That's why it's the same Papus Ben Yehuda, who was brought now to jail and is sitting in the same cell with Rabbi Akiva. And what did he say? You know why I am here? Dvarim betelim, vain things. Vain things! You saved the Jewish nation! How in the world are you calling this vain things? How strange is that? And Rabbi Akiva doesn't start arguing. Okay, vain things. You saved people, you saved Jewish lives. Shvuot Lamed Zayin, Sanhedrin Lamed Tet. Kol hamatzil nefesh achat meYisrael. One who saves one life, one Jewish life, Keilu. Oy lamale, the entire world. You're saying it's Dvarim betelim? The answer to this conundrum is found in Yoredea. Hilchot Tzedakah. No other place. Strange. Taz. Taz is Gdola Poiskim. In Reish Nun Aleph, the Taz tells us, if you're a Hatzalah member, this is not the language the Taz is using, but I'm explaining the Taz. If you're a Hatzalah member, you get a call. You have to go. Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu said, you're learning this Torah in order to fulfill what's in it. Just like you said. But why is it? Before you go to the Seder, before you leave the house in the morning, you're supposed to daven to Hashem. Kodesh Baruch Hu, please allow me to continue the seder from 9:30 until 10:30 p.m. without any disturbances. I should not get a call, because if I get a call, I gotta close the Gemara, I gotta close Shulchan Aruch, and I gotta go and help. Because in fact, when you're saving a Jewish soul, you're saving the world entire. But when you say Amar Abaye, you're saving all the world's Elyonim and Tachtonim. That's why Torah is so great. Talmud Torah keneged kulam. You're right that technically speaking, every time I learn and there's something that goes on, I have to close the Gemara. Because the Torah says, go and do what it says here. But if it was up to me, and if we can, we should be able, should daven to Hashem that we'll be able to sit and learn. Because when you focus on your learning without any disturbances, you're mekayem all the olamot kulam, elyonim and tachtonim. And when you're saving a Jewish person, you're only saving one olam. Olam maleh, one olam, as opposed to all the olamot. That's the maila, the virtue, the significance, the beauty of learning Torah. Omar Abaye, one little liner, what it can do for us. Not always do we see it, but we don't need to. We trust the words of Chazal. Look how beautiful our Torah is. Let me ask you a question. Simchat Torah, Tafshin Pei Dalet. While the whole thing was going on, everybody knew what was going on down there in Gaza. SMS, texting, WhatsApp, emails, phone calls, they all knew what was going on. There was a guy in his house with his two sons. One is a pikeach and one is a shoteh. Halachically defined as one who's exempt from fulfilling all mitzvahs. The other one, normal kid. He loves them both. Same age. Let's say both of them are either 13 and 14 or 8 and 9 years old. So they're in the same age as far as halacha is concerned. This guy who's with his kids is in a wheelchair. But across the street lives his father. And his father is an old man. And he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't have WhatsApp. He doesn't have texting. He doesn't know what's going on. He's hard of hearing. We have to save him. This father has to write a little note, Daddy, please go right now into the shelter. The question that he has is, whom should he send? The pikeach or the shoteh? The one who's chayav in mitzvot, the normal kid, or the one who's exempt from all mitzvot? To cross the street and to give the note, they did it 1,000,000 times before. Not a big deal. They both can do it. Not a big deal. But whom should he endanger? The Hamas yemach shemam all over. So he's going to look out to the window, right and to the left. Right now, coast looks clear. Okay, run! And they can run across the street. Not a big deal. They did it 1,000,000 times before. That's not a big deal. They can actually both fulfill the mission. But in the eyes of halacha, whom should he endanger? In others, whom should he send? Or whom should he try to save? Shimuna Rabotai Dayani Mumchin. What do you say?
I guess the concept of Shomer Pessin Hashem, where Hashem's going to protect the simpler person.
Where'd you get this answer from? Kuf Tet Zayin.
116, some of that.
Pasuk Gimel.
I don't know.
Who says you can apply such a thing in the realms of halacha? I like this idea, but who says you can apply it?
You would like to think Hashem would protect the simpler one. I don't know.
I would like to think that. Do you have a source that says that I can actually use this pasuk?
I think there's a Shulchan Aruch, right, by Hilchot Hashem in that area. That says, "Shor Shvitim Hashem."
This is a koyla, Talmid Chachamim. Here's a Gemara.
There's a Gemara with the Zkena and Usham with Zkena with the Yaldo, she's like the Nekes. All the Gemara, that Meir says, no, Chachamim say Hashem watches fools.
I have a different Gemara. Avodah Zarah, Daf Lamed Amud Bet. Amar Rabbi Eliezer. One is allowed to eat grapes and figs at night. So So we have an answer to our question. Okay, let's ask something else. You look puzzled. Let's clarify. Amar Rabbi Eliezer. One is allowed to eat figs and grapes at night, and he doesn't have to worry. Worry about what?
And those worms, they kill you.
If you leave certain beverages uncovered overnight, and the way to remember the names of the beverages is Chaim, one who desires life should not do this. Chet is Chalav, that's milk. Yud is Yain, wine. And Mem is Mayim. If you leave them uncovered, Gilui, Shulchan Aruch, Yoredea, Kuf Tet Zayin. It's dangerous. Maybe a snake came to visit and left you a little souvenir inside. Left its venom, it's dangerous. Don't drink it. What about if there's figs and grapes left overnight and they're uncovered? Says Rabbi Eliezer, don't have to worry. Why not? Who told you a snake didn't come? Says Rabbi Eliezer, because in the process of making raisins, they dry up the grapes. The process of making dried figs, you can't cover them. You have to leave them uncovered. So when you can't protect those elements, says the Kodesh Baruch Hu, I'll step in instead of you. Why? Shenema Shomer Taim Hashem. If you can watch over something and you're negligent, says the Kodesh Baruch Hu, that's your problem. I'm not going to provide heavenly assistance when you could have taken good care of the matter. But when you can't, because that's part of the process, I have to leave him uncovered. What do you want me to do? I'm a petty in this matter. Baruch Hu said, don't worry. Shomer Taim Hashem, I'll watch over you. How do we apply it here? If the 15-year-old, there's the 15 and 14, the regular kid, the normal kid, and the one who is shoite halachically. If the normal kid will go out, he's 15, he's capable. But he's 15 years old, he wants to see what's going on there. There's a matzah, oh, let me see. So then he's going to be negligent in the matter. If that's the case, send the other kid. Send the kid who's a fool. He cannot protect himself, so Kodesh Baruch Hu will intervene.
What is Hashem? Let the grandfather stay in the house.
We do have a ishtadlut. Chas v'sholom. You can say it at any time. A person, like we said before, we said, we're learning. Hatzalah member. He gets a call. Yeah, but I'm learning. Kodesh Baruch Hu, watch over him. Chas v'sholom. Ishtadlut. We have to do what we can do. If we can help, of course we have to. If everything else is equal, maybe we should do a lottery. But in case you have the 15-year-old, the normal kid, or the 9-year-old, if there's 9 and 8, and he can protect himself, but he will choose not to, so maybe it's better to send the other kid. Could be there's another proof to that from the Mishnah in Horayot, Yud Gimel. We learn there the prioritization, Seder HaKedima, when we come to save a person. If two people are drowning, a Kohen and a Levi, everything else is equal. Any Leviim here? We don't have anything against Leviim, but we have to save the Kohen because he's more Mekudash, he has more mitzvot. If a Levi and Israel, now you'll be happy. If a Levi and Israel are drowning, we don't know anything about Israelim, myself included, but we have to save the Levi because he has more mitzvot, he's more Mekudash. If a man and a woman are drowning, we have nothing against women, but we will have to save the man because he is more Mekudash, more mitzvot. Seemingly, I don't have a clear proof to that, but I think we should apply this as well. If we have to go and save the person who's more Mekudash, maybe we should endanger the person who is less Mekudash. In other words, send the person who's a fool, who's exempt from all mitzvot, because in that way we're as if, it's the reverse, we're saving the person who is more Mekudash. I don't have a clear proof. And this is Dinei Nefashot. But it makes sense, it's mistaber, that the same rationale will apply in both directions. I'm sorry?
Over there with the Rabbi Kiva that says nice
I think you're mixing up Yom HaChavav and Samech Bet and Bab Metzia. Bab Metzia, Samech Bet, we learn Ben Ptur and Rabbi Akiva. That's the Gemara you're talking from? In Yom HaChavav and a few other places, we learn about Mai Chazit, the Svara of who says your blood is redder than mine. But what he's sending us to is Bab Metzia Samech Bet, where Ben Ptura instructed that if two people are walking in the desert and I own a jug of water, so what should I do? Should I drink it and see my friend die? It's only enough for one person. Says Ben Ptura, no, Chas v'sholom, you should drink and see your friend drop dead. Share it. Until Rabbi Kiva came, And he taught, Chayecha koidmin lechayei chavecha. Your life comes first, and therefore, if it's yours, you can drink it. By the way, big chiddush, gigantic chiddush. Too big to stand, you may fall. Put your seatbelt on for this one. We always say, Rabbi Akiva says, Chayecha koidmin lechayei chavecha. Your life comes first. But there's 3 Gedolei Olam. Orach Chaim HaKodesh, not in his Pirush on the Torah, which has a lot of weight. But he has more weight when he speaks to us in Halacha. And what is his Sefer on Yoredea? Brit Toar and Rishon LeZion. And the Orach Chaim HaKodesh, and Machne Ephraim, and Moshe Chagi's in Halachot Ktanot, all 3 Gedolei Olam. A great coalition. They all say that what Rabbi Akiva said is not an obligation. Chayecha kodmin. It's a permission. If you want, you can actually drink the water and you don't have to share it with your friend. But if you want to share it, you can. And that's a mind-boggling chiddush that nobody else agrees to, but you have 3 Gedolei Olam. A strong coalition.
Can I give the whole thing to him though?
What's that?
Can I give the whole thing to my friend?
I don't think you should commit suicide. Ben Petua didn't go there. Ben Petua says share. In Davin, then Mitzvah Hashem, somebody's coming to save you. But Rabbi Akiva never said it's an obligation according to them, and that's a mind-boggling chiddush.
According to this, they both die.
I'm sorry?
According to this, they both die.
Like Ben Petua said. That's what Ben Petua said. Comes Rabbi Akiva and says, if you want
Both die, one die. How is possible? How is it?
that's how we always understood Rabbi
Does that
Akiva.
make sense?
Because that's how we always understood Rabbi Akiva. Why would you like to have 2 people dying? Ben Petua said, Yishte, al yishte ha'echad v'yireh b'mot chavero. No, split it. That's what Ben Petua says. Rabbi Akiva says, want to lose 2 people? Come this Gedolei Olam and said, it's not an obligation, it's permission if you want to. It's a mind-boggling chiddush.
Who's going to do something like this?
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. In times of crisis, we always see people are giving up from themselves, sacrificing themselves, and we hear heroic stories in the last year and a half.
Second time I say is another person going to be alive. Another time I say you're also going to be dying. For what?
Sefer Hasidim. Sefer Hasidim. Shh. What? Listen to this. Siman, I don't want to say the name of the Siman, Tafresh, so I'm going to say Tafresh Chet Tzadik. I don't want to say Tafresh Tzadik and. Doesn't sound good. But Tirchatz sounds much better. Sefer Hasidim. Ayu Shnaim Yoshvim Yachad. 2 people are sitting together. Atalmid Chochem and Am Haaretz. And the Goyim come and say, one of you, listen to our language, Mitzvah ala Am Haaretz lomar, it's a mitzvah for the ignoramus to say, take me and not a Talmid Chacham. Kemaise de Rabbi Akiva ve Reb Reuven itztu bali. So yes, we have a source. Sefer Hasidim. Take me! What's going to take me? You're killing yourself? Yep.
You can understand because you saved the coin after the Levi, after the Israel.
That's when I come to save, but I have to kill myself? He's saying, we're going to kill you. Who would like to come first? Here, take me, take me. Big chiddush. I think it's a bigger chiddush. Bigger chiddush on Rabbi Akiva. Because Rabbi Akiva says, split the water. Maybe in the next few hours, somebody's going to come. But here you're going with them and they're going to execute you. I said, it's an unbelievable chiddush. I once asked Reb Chaim, I go to the beach. And there's 3 shoitim. Not ignoramuses, exempt from all mitzvot, fools. Halachically defined as fools. Who are drowning over there. And there's 1 pikeach, 1 normal kid, 1 normal guy who's drowning over there. Whom should I save? It's 3 people. Reb Chaim told me, go to the normal guy, save him. Chiddush. I stopped there. I didn't ask him, what's it a whole school? What if it's a whole school? It's a chiddush, because 3 against 1. 1 on 1, I understand. 3? I didn't ask him, what if it's a whole school of these guys? 150 kids are drowning. I didn't ask him. I stopped at 3.
You have a lot of examples in the Torah and the Rim and everything. 1 include like 50,000. 1 include like 5. It's depending about the scale.
Where do you see 1 including corresponding to the weight of? I remember Gemara Yair ben Menashe equals in Maseret Zanadim to 36 people. Where do you see it equals to 50,000? Good. That's very easy because Moshe Rabbeinu, there's a sefer called Ramchal, wrote a sefer called Adir Bamarom. Not known so much. And on page Ayin, he writes there that Moshe Rabbeinu is found in every one of us. Baal HaTanya writes the same thing. If that's the case, it's easy to understand why Moshe has the weight corresponding to all of us, because he is in fact in every single one of us.
So you could also have the Bible people.
Maybe, but it's a chiddush. It's a chiddush. But why did I bring this question about the fool and the normal kid? Look what an amazing Torah we have. You go to Masechet Avodah Zarah, Daf Lamed Amud Bet. You find some figs and grapes, and you know the answer for the Pikuach Nefesh She'ela in Azat Tafshin Pei Dayin Simchat Torah. This Torah is so wide. is so deep. It's so enjoyable. There's an answer to everything. There's nothing that's not hinted to in Torah. Nothing. Even with grapes and figs, you can find an answer for Pikuach Nefesh. I'll share with you an interesting question I was just asked a week and a half ago. Last Friday, a few hours before Shabbat, a very chashuv Rav from Bnei Brak, of Gamliel Rabinowitz, he put on 120 Sfarim. Not a Mekubal from Yerushalayim. This is Rav Gamliel Rabinowitz asked me the following question. I'm sure you all heard what happened 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, Wednesday I think it was, when a crane collapsed on some soldiers who were in their tent. 2 soldiers unfortunately died, and 6 were injured. Terrible tragedy. I'm sorry? Could be. Terrible tragedy. So he asks me, can we use the title? Hashem Yikom Damam, Hey Yudalid. Can we use the name Kadosh? Why are they there in the army base? Where was it? In Gaza or Lebanon? Up there, up north in Lebanon. Why are they there? Because of the Hezbollah, Yamach Shemam. So it's as if they're fighting them. They brought them there. Otherwise it wouldn't happen. They would be in their house in Tel Aviv and Yerushalayim. So since it's as if they're fighting with the Arabs, can we say Hashem Yikom Damam? Can we say Kadosh? Like a person who was killed on Kiddush Hashem. A person who dies in the hands of Goyim, just because he is Jewish, he is called Harugei Malchut, Kedoshei Elyon, and Birya Yechola La'amod B'mchetzatam. Nobody comes close to them. In fact, I once asked Reb Chaim, I was going to be Menachem Avel, a person who died just because he was Jewish. There was an explosion in a restaurant. A secular guy, very secular. But he was there, and he died in Kiddush Hashem. So I wanted to know if when I go to the family, I can tell them, your son, your son is a Kodosh. He sits in that chamber. Or not. There's a big machloket about that. A person who's not Shomer Torah mitzvot. Imagine, he is eating shellfish on a Yom Kippur that falls on Shabbat. And somebody comes and shoots him because he's Jewish. So you want to tell me he's Kadosh? Big machloket. I went to ask Reb Chaim. Reb Chaim says to me, yes. I said, Rebbe, doesn't work like that. I need a source. Big Chiddush. Reb Chaim told me. It's probably the only time, the second time ever I heard it from him. אני לא זוכר, צריך לחפש. I said to him, okay, where should I look? בזוהר. Started looking. Bereshit daf lamed in the Zohar Kadosh, the Zohar says, there's 7 chambers up there. And the Zohar describes who sits in every chamber. And in the 4th chamber sit all those who died just because they're Jewish. It doesn't say if they had long peot of Breslev. It doesn't say if they have tzitzit of the Chazon Ish, down to the knees. It doesn't say if they kept Rabbeinu Tam on Motzei Shabbat. It doesn't say anything. It says if you're Jewish and you died because the Goyim killed you just because you're Jewish, you're up there. And obviously you have to assume that there are different levels in that chamber, because Rabbi Akiva is also in that chamber. And obviously he is way up on the top of the chamber as opposed to other people. But as long as a person dies on Kiddush Hashem, he gets to sit there. So he's asking me, these soldiers that died because the crane collapsed. Yeah, but why are they there? Because of the Arabs, because of the Hezbollah. So can we use Hashem Yikom Damam? Can we use Kadosh? Abba Yisai, Dayani Mumchim. What do you say? Don't use Shomer P'sayim Hashemia. That was brilliant. What do you say? I'm sorry?
שומר אמונים, אני חושב. They say you can't say Kadosh.
In a general case, like the guy who's secular and he dies in the hands of Goyim, like Reb Chaim, like the Zohar. Fine. But what about this case? The Arabs weren't shooting.
When a person is oisik in a mitzvah, it doesn't have to be physically oisik in the mitzvah now. If he's in a picture of the mitzvah, he's also part of being oisik in the mitzvah. Just if a person is visiting somebody on circumstance sick, he's right now oisik in Bikkur Cholim. Even though at this particular moment the Cholim doesn't need him, he's in the Tumuna of being in that Bikkur Cholim state.
But the title Kadosh is not such a simple title to give like this.
If he's in that picture of Lebanon, he's in that war just because he died of this wave, but at the end of the day, he's in the picture of a war. He died in war. Whether a crane fell on him or whether something else fell on him.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
There's a soldier in Tel Aviv that they called him from the base in Lebanon. Come. Okay. He takes his bag, he goes into his car. 1 block away from his house in Tel Aviv. Car accident, somebody banged into him. He's in the Tmuna, he's in the picture, he's in the war effort. Why is he there in the car? Because he's going to be in 6 hours in Lebanon. You're also going to say about Kadosh because he died? What's the difference? If 5 minutes away from the base, you will say Kadosh, but 5 minutes away from Tel Aviv, he's not going to say Kadosh. Where's the cutoff line?
When they want to do harm to Israel, they don't differentiate between if he's considered to be this or that.
True.
By Jewish religious, they do nezek. So when it comes to the plots as well, when it comes to a yid is a yid.
A yid is a yid, no question.
No.
Do I give the title?
This concept, if he dies on Kiddush Hashem, Yeshu Shem Kudish and Talish Kiddush Hashem, no matter what type of person he is.
So you're like the Rav, you're saying?
If a person is traveling towards the mitzvah, does that travel also considered like he's doing the mitzvah at that moment, like also the mitzvah?
These soldiers were in the tent sleeping. What's the difference between them and driving to the base? What's the difference? Why is there a difference? Should be no difference. So 5 minutes away from his house in Tel Aviv, car accident, Kadosh.
On the way there, yeah, there should be.
We say if you follow the Kavel Pnei Rabbo on Sukkot, then you don't have to sin the Sukkah, even though right now we could sin the Sukkah, just the very fact that you're going to do a mitzvah.
But that's the way to fulfill this mitzvah. That's the way to fulfill this mitzvah. To drive to see your Rav.
You're stopping right now, and you have a Sukkah right next to you. You don't have to. You're not totally mechuyev to sin the Sukkah, even though you're right now doing that.
And you want to equate that to give the title Kadosh?
Yeah.
Pashu to you. You want to say something here? Somebody wants to say something?
The crane fell because someone broke it, or it fell on its own?
It was raining. Heavy rain. And apparently it was starting to move a little and it wasn't stable. It fell.
No one tried to kill them because they're Jewish.
Nope. So what's the connection to say Kadosh? But he's saying they're in a war. The only reason they're there is because of the Hezbollah.
It's not related.
Not related. Saying it's a grama rachok. You like it? You want to give him you want to give him Kadosh or no? You don't want to give him Kadosh. Why not? You want to give him Kadosh. Hashem yikom damam. Hashem should avenge their blood. I wrote to him back, in Masechet Shvuot, Daf Lamed Hei Amud Bet, we learn that if a king goes to war, and up to 1/6 of his soldiers die, there's not going to be any claim on him. It's only natural that people die in wars, unfortunately. Tosfot over there explains, we're talking about Milchemet Reshut. Everybody's making aliyah, right? There's no room in Israel. So the king says, we have to expand our borders. Let's go over to our enemies. Let's go to the neighboring countries and take a little land, conquer it. That's called Milchemet Reshut. You can lose up to 1/6 of your soldiers. That's 18%. No claim. It's going to be more than that. More people die. The king is going to have to give some accounting. How much more so Milchemet Mitzvah? This is 100% Milchemet Mitzvah. Definition of Milchemet Mitzvah, when they're coming to attack us, to kill us, we go and retaliate. 100% Milchemet Mitzvah. How much more so? But that's a friendly fire. You go to war. It's nighttime. And you think this guy's a Hamasnik, so you shot him. Apparently he was actually one of your friends. In fact, Chafetz Chaim wrote a sefer called Machne Yisrael. Machne Yisrael is a sefer for Jewish soldiers fighting in armies. And he writes there, every single morning, when a Jewish soldier goes to war, he should daven. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please, 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 save me, that I shouldn't stab my own friend with my sword. Because of the mehuma, because of the bahala, because of the confusion and the commotion, one can actually take a sword and stab his brother. That's the language of the Chafetz Chaim. The sword today is the gun. It's the same idea. It's a hand grenade. It's the same thing. So the concept of friendly fire for sure allows us to use Hashem Yikom Damo and Kadosh. Because why was he shooting? Because the arrow was trying to shoot him, so he tried to protect himself. Chas v'shalom, I shot my friend. Chas v'shalom. No question about it. But this is very different. Apparently what happened, which is mamish terrible, when it started raining so heavy, some soldiers actually felt the ground moving and they're drowning, and went to the commander. And they said, I feel like I'm drowning. Maybe you should check what's going on there with a big crane. They didn't do anything about it. Negligence. I'm not judging them. I don't know all the details. I don't know if it was shoygeg, I don't know if it was oines, korov leoines, I don't know. But it has nothing to do with the war effort. Haga be'atzmecha. Think about it. A soldier in the middle of Tel Aviv. A crane collapsed. Why are all soldiers in army bases throughout Israel? Because of the Arabs. What's the difference? Because of terrorists. In the middle of Yerushalayim, there's an army base. What are they doing there? Having fun. The reason is just like in Lebanon. Because we want to protect ourselves from the enemies, from terrorists. So you want to tell me that if an army base in the middle of Yerushalayim, chas v'sholom, there's an accident and something falls, a crane or anything else, a building collapsed, we're going to say this soldier, he was a kadosh, Hashem yikom damo. What's the connection to the war effort? I don't see any connection, no relation whatsoever. And in fact, if you say Hashem yikom damo, I think it's terrible. What you're saying is HaKadosh Baruch Hu should avenge their blood, go to the Jewish people who are negligent, and chas v'sholom, we don't want to go there. I'm sorry? So I don't think you can use kadosh, and I don't think you can use Hashem yikom damo. It's too far of a stretch. It's not connected to the war effort. When there's a war and there are mistakes, yes, but these soldiers were sleeping in their tent. And as a terrible result of, apparently, it's under investigation now, apparently, what seems to be negligence, this happened. If we're going to use Hashem yikom damo, we don't want to do that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should revenge against the Jewish people who are responsible, chas v'shalom.
But Hashem Yom Damo could also be used for friendly fire. If someone killed him, even though it was an accident, it would still be more problematic to say Hashem Yom Damo.
When there's friendly fire, the Arab was trying to shoot me, and instead I shot him. I thought it was an Arab. It wasn't. It was my Jewish friend. So it's part of the war effort. I'm only shooting my friend because I think I'm shooting the Arab. That's direct to the war effort. But when I'm sleeping in bed and something falls on me, what's the connection to the war effort? I don't see the relation. You know, in the first siren that went off, Simchat Torah, 6:30 a.m., the first siren down south in a hospital, there was a nurse who heard the siren and she lost it, she freaked out. She ran away, disappeared. She was trained, just like all the other nurses and all the staff were trained 1,000,000 times. When you hear a siren, you must stay with the patient. If it's an old patient that you're treating, of course you have to continue the treatment. If you can wheel the patient to the shelter, do that. Can't leave. But she got very nervous. Very nervous. First time she's hearing a siren, the real deal, and she ran away. Management comes and asks, what should we do? Should we fire her? Or we'll accept her apologies? It's never going to happen again. Everybody else in the staff were able to stay in their position as they were supposed to. You were trained multiple times. Do we fire her? Or do we say, well, it's only normal. Hopefully next time it won't happen. What do you say?
How much she's serious?
Nobody left in the Istanbul.
If nobody left, you see, it's possible to stay. Get rid of her! No rachamim. Get rid of her?
She regrets.
We're getting rid of her. I'm sorry?
She's serious about like being for the ritual.
She said, this is the first time I heard the real deal. This is the first real siren. I'm young.
Everyone makes mistakes.
Everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah, if a nurse kills a patient, what happened?
Are there some people who cannot make mistakes, by the way? Are there some people that don't have the rights to make a mistake? Or one strike and you're out? Is there such a concept, one strike and you're out? The Rav says yes.
For life? Yeah.
Who are these people? Ba'abasa Chaf Aleph, we learned there's some people who are not so lucky as others. A soifer makes a mistake. If he made a mistake in the get, what happened? He just allowed a married woman to go get married to somebody else. Shoichet made a mistake. He just fed all of us treifos and a few other people. So not everybody is able to. So she said, I'm sorry. Shkoyach to you. And what if something would have happened when you ran away? You'd also say, okay, she regretted it.
Is it because punishing her for running away?
I don't need to punish anybody. I'm not an educator. I'm a manager of a hospital. I'm not an educator.
So the question here is, the manager is angry why she did it, or is worried for the future?
Future! Angry as...
Yeah, so we can say.
Shabbos Daf Kufay, the Gemara says, one who gets angry should be in your eyes like a person who worships idols. We're not talking about anger. Anger management, you should go to a different person.
So maybe if she's been through it once, it will not be the same the next time.
So you're saying you should accept her regret. She understood what it is. The first time. Second time, it's not going to happen. So you're with her?
Also, maybe you can't blame someone for trying to save his life. She was afraid.
I can't blame her.
She wants to save her life.
I think about 20 years ago or so, around 20 years, maybe a little less. If you remember, there was an Italian ship that drowned. Remember this, Maisa? 18, 19 years ago.
Titanic too.
What's that?
Titanic too.
Not Titanic, but the captain is supposed to be the last one leaving after making sure that everybody else is safe. He jumped first. The Italian government took him to court. He's sitting in jail. You can't say, "Chayecha kodmin, my life comes first," when that's your job's description. Imagine you're the bodyguard of the president. And the guy comes to shoot, whoops, see you later. If you make it and you run away, chas v'sholom. If that's your job description, you decided to do this job, it says in the contract, this is what you're supposed to do, to listen to the management, and one of the things is you have to stay with the patients, so you can't say, "B'chayecha kodmin." Rabbi Akiva taught me, "Chayecha kodmin." Unlike the coalition that we mentioned before, most understood it to mean, my life comes first. Yes, not when you're signed on a contract that says, if you're right, we have to cancel this whole industry called soldiers, policemen, firefighters, anybody involved in the tzala that potentially puts himself in danger, we say, "Chayecha kodmin." You go to war, says, "Sorry, I have to go back home." You say to the commander and you go back.
Maybe you say there's a thought that over there the whole meaning of his job is to do that. But if you're the nurse, the meaning of to take care of patients, not that she has to be there when there's a mouth. That's a side added point to her job.
She was trained when you hear a siren, you must stay. If you can roll the patient on a stretcher. That's the job's description. Was very easy. They drilled 1,000,000 times. It's very simple. And everybody else in the staff got it. She freaked out.
But in the case of an army or bodyguard, if he disregards the whole meaning of his job, then he'll obviously...
That's part of her job.
It's not the meaning of her job.
It's not the meaning of her job, but it's part of the job. Then in extreme situations, when this happens, this is what you have to do.
If a person ever gave false testimony in Betin, we're going to pass him forever, or you can do tshuva. You can do tshuva and we'll accept him back again.
Hashem, yir'eh la levav. We don't know what's in her heart.
No, we have to act like
Shulchan Aruch explains how you do tshuva for certain sins. There are ways. A person who's soicher in fruits of Shvit, what do? Next time Shvit comes, and you have to wait again to next Shemitah, and we see that he doesn't. A shoichet, there's a description, each one how he does tshuva. Exactly how is she supposed to do tshuva? Just says, "I'm sorry." Is that sufficient?
So
Who says?
If a person does a mistake, we should always pass him forever?
We said there are some people who don't have the benefit of. Oh, it's okay, you made a mistake. Some people, Ba'abat Chaf Aleph, Paskin Halacha, Shulchan Aruch Shel Mishpat, Shin Lamed Aleph, I believe. One strike, you're out.
Maybe you're weird because it's certain...
Too much responsibility and weight is sitting on your job. You can't. I'm sorry, what did you say? One of those people is a doctor. Not just the shoichet, and not just the soifer, and not just the melamed dardeke, the teacher, the rebbe of the little kids, because if he makes a mistake when they're 1 and 2 and 3 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, and the young grades, that mistake stays forever. In fact, who made a big mistake that cost us Timchet, Zachar Amalek or Zecher Amalek? Zachar Zecher, big deal, Segol. We're still suffering from that. The Gemara says, Shabashta, Kevan de'al, al. A mistake. Once it penetrates, it stays. One mistake, if you're a Rebbe, you're out. Doctor, one mistake, you're out. Is she a doctor?
You can say only at those cases where a certain end product came out, but action came out. Matter was to get something that was totally through, but if nothing came out of him, so there was a special production in Siyat Shmaya, we're not going to condemn people for that.
You have a source? It's not based in with documentations. We need sources. I need something. And I'm not picky. I'll take anything. Chumash, Nach, Shulchan Aruch, Poiskim, Gemor, whatever you want. Give me something. I like your svara, but I need a source. I like your source. But in a based din, we need to pass in based on documentations. Do you have any?
All those cases where something happened. It was a bad get, it was a bad shchita.
There's an idea of bahul in the case of mamonis, that if a person's cow is on top of another person's cow and he, instead of pushing the other one off, he pulls his bottom one out and it falls and dies, that he's patur because he was so bahul got his money that he's not mechuyav to pay.
Good. Monetary law. But we're not obligating her to pay anything.
It's a job.
You pay her.
I mean, in a hospital, the nurses, they're agents of the doctors.
They are?
They're agents of the doctors.
Are they?
That's not necessarily nurses.
Supporters?
The doctors,
Agents?
yeah.
Okay.
Who gets sued? The doctors are getting sued, not
Doctor
the
makes
doctor.
Depends what the doctor did. Depends what the nurse. The nurse can also get sued. Nurse can get sued as well. Depends what she did.
They're operating under the doctor's name.
But if a nurse makes a mistake, says she does something that she wasn't supposed to, or the opposite, of course she gets sued.
Makes a mistake on the medication that you're giving to the patient.
Aboisai, Parashat Shemot. Parashat Shemot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is talking to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe, what do you have in your hand? A piece of a stick. Throw it down. He does. And it turns into a stick! Vayanus Moshe mipanav. And Moshe runs away. What? Moshe Rabbeinu, what happened to you? It's a question of the Hamek Davar, the Netziv. He says, Minayin hunas ume'eze ma'amad hunas. What went wrong with you, Moshe Rabbeinu? Where's your bitachon? Where's your emunah? You're talking to Kodesh Baruch Hu. And where exactly are you running to? You think over there it's safer? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not found over there? And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to protect you when you stay here, he cannot? What? What's wrong with you, Moshe? Says the Netziv, don't be so surprised. Yes, Moshe Rabbeinu. He's also human. And when a person is suddenly afraid, he does irrational things, like running away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what do you want from this 22-year-old young nurse? It's normal to get afraid. Another raya. Shabbos. Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, Mem Tet Amud Aleph, appears again in Daf Kuf Lamed Amud Aleph. A story about Elisha Baal Knafayim. What a strange name. Elisha, the one who had the wings. What do you mean wings? The Gemara says there was a guy by the name of Elisha. And the Romans said, no tefillin. If we see with tefillin, Elisha says, Romans, I don't care. And he too, just like Rabbi Akiva, he went to Times Square with his tefillin. Rabbeinu Tam and Rashi, big size, everybody should see. He puts him on. He starts saying, I don't know what he did. Tehillim, Kriyat Shema, I don't know. But suddenly a Roman soldier. Roman soldier comes, he starts running. And he runs, but the Roman soldier is much better fit. He's much more in shape. And he's much faster. So he gets close to him. What do you have there? You have tefillin? He says, no tefillin. And he runs, and he quickly takes it off and he puts it here. And the Roman soldier is able to catch him. He says, what do you have? No, it's wings of a dove. Show me! And he takes out the tefillin. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a miracle. Oops. Lo and behold. Wings of a dove. So he got a new title. He's called Elisha Baal Knafayim. Asks Rav Eliashiv Zatzal in Sefer He'aros Shabbos Mem Tes Amud Aleph. Elisha, what happened? 5 minutes ago, Elisha, you said, Romans, I don't care, I'm going to Times Square. How come you started running? And by the way, when the soldier really got close, why'd you take your tefillin off? You're not afraid of soldiers. You're not afraid of the Romans. What happened? Says Rav Eliashiv, you see that when a person is afraid, he acts in an irrational way. It's not logical. You promised us, I don't care, I'm going to show up. Kiddush Hashem. What happened? When a person is afraid, a sudden fright, he loses it. So what do you want from this young girl? She's 22 years old. First time in her life she hears a real siren and she promises it'll never happen again. I chopped it. I think we can give her a chance. I think we can give her one more chance. If it happens again, I think Kol Deos, Kol Alma will agree we have to throw her out. But happened once, she doesn't have to be better than Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid. He's not 22. He's talking to Ribono Shel Olam. I think we can give her a break. And once.
Why not the second time?
There is no end. Lemaise, her job description is to be there once. Okay, you think next time it's going to happen with Moshe? He's also going to run away? I don't think so. Elisha, no, it's not going to happen again. But once you see from these sources that it can happen that a person just loses it.
Just to clarify, by the shochet and by the sulfur, he's not scared. The issue of the
A mistake. It's a mistake. It's not just that. I'm not sure that we can put her on the level of the doctor. The doctor won't strike you out, won't mistake you out. Not fear, mistake. But I'm not sure that the nurse has definitely the same level of achrayus as the doctor. I'm not convinced. Rabbi Yisai, Shabbos Lamed Aleph Amud Beis. A series of 6 questions we will all be asked after at least 120. First question. Nasata v'natata be'emunah. Were you honest in your business dealings? Second question. We're talking about the Tosfot in Sared and Tavzayin, Kiddushin Daflam. Second question. Kavata itim latoya. I don't understand this question. Kavata itim latoya? If I'm asking, האם למדת? האם עסקת בתורה? האם הגית בתורה? האם מה זה קבעת? What's the חשיבות? What's the significance of קבעת? Did you establish set times for learning Torah? That's what you care about? What's pshat? 3 gedolei olam. Each one, ada'ata de nafshay, say the following remarkable idea. Ben Ishchai, in Brachot Daf Lamed Amud Bet. Pele Yoetz is a Musar Sefer. He says it in Pele Yoetz, but he also says it in Ya'al Zu Chasidim, that is his commentary on Sefer Chasidim, but carries more weight because he says it also in his halachic work called Chesed La'alafim, Or HaChaim Siman Kuf Nun Hei Seif Aleph, as well as the Imrei Emet. And all these 3 Gedolim say the following. You're not going to need a desertner for 2 weeks after this. Gewaldig. Kavata itim latoya. A person works a lot. He's tired. He works from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. He comes back home. He eats something and he learns. All he has is half an hour before he falls asleep. How much did he learn? Out of 24 hours, how much did he learn?
24 hours.
Half hour? We have a rule. Kol kavua, kemechza al mechza dami. Ketubot daf tetvav amud aleph and many other places in Shas. What does that mean? Normally we go after the majority. When you find a piece of meat in a town that they sell 9 kosher stores and 1 store is not so kosher, and you found it, what do we say? Is the meat kosher or not? Kosher, badatz, me'adin, the best yachshir. But if you know you went to one of the stores, you just don't remember which store it was, then it's called kavua. It's set in its place. And then, called kavua, gemechza al mechza. There is no 9 stores in 1 store. There's 50-50, as if 5 stores in 5 stores, so you can't eat it. Say these gedolim. If you establish times, kavata itim laTorah, and this time, no matter what, cannot be changed. Lo yazizuhu kol ruchot sheba'olam. No matter how severe the wind outside, it's not moving you from that time. You're not learning half an hour. You're kavua. You're learning half of the day you're sitting and learning Torah. It doesn't stop there. Rosh Hashanah daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, the Gemara darshins a pasuk. Rav Chesed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so merciful. What does that mean, Rav Chesed? HaKadosh Baruch Hu tilts the scales in our favor. If we are exactly 50-50 on the scales, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tips the scales in our favor. So don't tell me I was learning 50% of the time. You're learning 51% of the time. It doesn't stop there. Nazir Membet Amud Aleph, we learn Ruba Kechulo. From that 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever time that you have, which is really the time that you have, you don't have more time. And you're learning it kavua, no matter what. You move to kavua 50-50. 50-50 is 51-49. 51 Ruba Kechulo. You're learning 24/7. That's where they're going to ask us, Kavata itim laTorah? Not asakta, not lamadta, not hagita. Kavata itim laTorah? How much more so? Chashuv HaTzibur here. And not half an hour at the end of the day. You show HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I love your Torah. And if it was possible, I wouldn't sleep at night. You see, when normal people go to work, I come here. You're changing the whole metzius of Am Yisrael. The koyach that each and every one of you have. It's a koyach to tilt the scales, not the individual scales, your own scales. Not New York's scales. The world entire, we said before. You're saving all the worlds. Oilamos elyonim and oilamos tachtoinim. You win our wars. You save little kids, cancer patients. You give babies to barren ladies. You're changing the mitzvahs because that's really how it works upstairs. The koyach of the Torah. And when you kavata itim la Torah, when you come here every single day at the right time, what do you do? I'm sorry? So, for me it's a great zchut to be among Talmidei Chachamim, and I heard about you, and now I, Baruch Hashem, was able to experience the wisdom, the knowledge, the breath that you have, Baruch Hashem. It's remarkable. Emetz Hashem, our next shiur is not going to be here. It's going to be in Sha'arei Yerushalayim. We're all going to be holding hands in Emetz Hashem, greeting and dancing with Mashiach Tzidkenu, and then we'll sit down and we'll have a shiur in Emetz Hashem there. Keep going, keep steiging. Know that every Amar Abaye and Amar Rava that you say changes the world entire. It changes you. It changes your family. But you're changing the metzius of the world. So don't let go, no matter how hard it is. Kavata itim la Torah is what's going to tilt the scales, your own scales, and the world entire. Emetz Hashem, continue going from Chayil to Chayil, from Yoredeh to Even Ezer to Choshen Mishpat Orach Chaim, 101 times at least. And when you finish, come to me, I want to test you. Should be only besorot tovot. Emetz Hashem, should continue to be zocheh l'ishta'asheh b'divrei Torah.
Rabbi Hanania ben Akasha